Welcome to the Week 7 edition of MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. My name is Tim Wood, here with Bill Bryant, Hector Longo, and the first thing you're seeing is the congratulations to Central Cat. Now, we are jumping the gun a little bit. Chris Calisi is our graphics guy. He is a Central Catholic 1996 graduate. So, Lawrence graduates, I apologize. We're jumping the gun a little bit. They will at least share the MVC crown, but they've got to finish it off with a Thanksgiving win against Lawrence. Tim Wood, Bill Bryant, Hector Longo.
Gentlemen, how are we doing today? Tim, that was an awful long explanation for something saying all Central has to do is beat Lawrence on Thanksgiving and they win it outright.
Well, no, there's a graphic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Gotcha. I know, but your explanation was very long.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, the rest of the show is going to be quick, concise, and right to the point.
One of these things is not like the other. Hector came in about 90 seconds before, did not get a chance to change into the merch. Bill and I wearing our new MVC Gridiron Weekly shirts.
See, you guys are worried about wardrobe. I'm worried about show quality.
Okay, got it.
I'm out there doing,
you're out there doing the yeoman work.
Doing the show prep work while you guys are trying on your new clothes.
Yep.
Flair.
So,
we call it flair.
Flair. Yes.
So I'm
we got the flair.
This sort of rugby shirt is very sentimental to me.
Rugby. Okay.
Yes.
1982 rugby shirt.
Well, I was gonna say,
the yellow rugby shirt.
I call it mustard. I was going to say it was about probably about 20 years ago, maybe even 25, when I was on a reporter's gig at the Lowell Colley Memorial Stadium and was doing a game on Friday night and said, "Wow, it's cold out," and I only had a short sleeve shirt on. So I went to Marshall's and picked this one up for about $12 back in the day, and it has lasted with me ever since. So it's a very sentimental shirt for me.
And you know, when you're men of a certain size, when you can find that shirt that still fits 20 years later.
Tim, as I say to people, who comment on what I wear or whatever, other than my wife, I will say to them very simply, if it's cheap and it fits, I'm wearing it. When you're my size,
thank you very much.
You do not get picky here. I'm not a fashion guy. I gave up a long time ago. I'm not sure I ever tried, but...
You and me both, brother.
Anyways.
I was never an Abercrombie guy, never a
but I digress.
Brooks Brothers.
Hey, they didn't have Abercrombie in my day, by the way.
No? Van Heusen.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The outlet shopping.
Some really big points were put up last night, and some not so exciting game blowouts.
Now wait a second. Now I thought I had said to you guys that I was going to start the show with a review of A Star Is Born. Was that not clear?
I didn't get that on the text.
I still don't know what that means.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
You didn't get it? I didn't know what he was talking about.
We were saying on the text last night, everybody had a little machismo in the texting last night, so I said, you know what, to balance out this overabundance of machismo, I'm gonna do my review of A Star Is Born, which is the Bradley Cooper Lady Gaga movie that is just a tear fest.
We didn't get there yesterday and looped in live. I was kind of waiting for it.
Yeah. Val will be back in on next Thursday to talk about A Star Is Born, among other things. So, but we are talking football here. We're talking football. A night of blowouts for the most part in the MVC. Some games that I think teams were hoping would be close games. The favorite opponent had something else to say about that, and took care of business. Central Catholic took care of business against Haverhill in a big way. Methuen took care of business against Lawrence in a big way, and North Andover took care of business against Billerica in an emphatic way. So the one close game with do or die in terms of football consequences was the Andover Lowell game, and that delivered all the drama you could hope for. Came right down to the last play, or the 2-point conversion try. Now Andover drove, I believe it was a 92-yard drive to go ahead. Then Lowell comes back, goes right back down the field, and Coach John Florence goes for 2.
Absolutely.
Right?
100.
Okay, I was just looking at.
Are you looking to pick a fight? Because we'll call him back this week.
No, I'm
too.
not looking to pick a fight. So there will be some in the low crowd in the MVC crowd that says, "What are you doing?
No,
Kick the point. Go to overtime."
No, they won't.
It's not happening here.
They will.
Really?
And
Of course
who
there will be.
The same people that would have criticized him for kicking
Yeah,
the extra point.
absolutely.
No, this
So
was the absolute good move.
those voices were
It's the
nothing.
people that are going to criticize no matter what.
Right. You should have gone for it. Oh, he went for it. You shouldn't have gone for it.
But listen, where I was going with that is you're not going to hear that here. I think
No.
I could just knowing you two and knowing me, I think we're unanimous. Good for you going for 2.
Hey, those two teams have had some epic games over the years.
Yeah.
And the little coach said it.
Whether it means something or not, I mean, honest to God, they have had some epic games. There was a 9 overtime game a bunch of years ago, I remember, and it was amazing. EJ and Lowell have had quite the back and forth, over the years.
And although 8th seed isn't like, you're not putting up banners or anything, but to get into the playoffs, have a meaningful game the following week against potentially one of the best teams in the state, at the end of the day, that's something to play for. So
Yeah, especially when you're starting a freshman quarterback and you want to get him as much quality experience as you can. I mean, I guess going down to Malden would be no offense to Malden, but just throwing a name out there of a team that I don't think is headed for the playoffs. I'm not really sure, but just playing a non-playoff game is not something you're looking for right away.
No. So Andover wins the game 26-25. We will have head coach E.J. Perry on at 10:15. We will then have from Central Catholic.
Lefebvre is the last name. Michael
Lefebvre.
Mr. Non-Valley guy. It's Lefebvre. It's like one of the huge Lawrence families in the history of the mayors and, athletic families, Hall of Famers.
it's the kid that plays for Catholic, right?
Yes, the kid who plays for Catholic. His sister Katrina was a great Madonna High athlete.
Wow.
It's him in the house. I don't echo.
Here we
Hello.
go. And the gloves are off.
We can call this show 2 Guys and a Dick. I mean, it's every week. Anyway.
I hold you to high standards, Tim, and I'm expecting you to make strides.
I like it. I like
Okay,
it.
just to let you know.
I want to be held to high expectations. And I would like you to make strides in getting here before 9:58.
Look, while you guys are out feasting on your breakfast, I'm at home slaving over the stove for my wife making her breakfast in bed on Saturdays. Okay?
Until you show me Facebook live video of that, I'm calling BS on you.
Well,
let's get your wife on the phone and verify that, shall we?
Absolutely.
And then 10:45, we have Matt Martino on from Methuen. Matt's a junior tight end. Matt has been a heck of an athlete for many years, and last year tore his ACL. And is battling back for that. And had a rough year last year. We'll talk to Matt about that. He's actually coming into studio, but kind of had his breakout game last night. Had a score earlier in the year, but last night was a big touchdown early on. Played pretty much the whole game defensively, special teams. So looking forward to talking with him and hearing from him.
Cool stuff.
So you see in the scores, Methuen 35-13 over Lawrence, Central Catholic 41-0 over Haverhill, North Andover 35-14 over Billerica, and unfortunately Chelmsford finished out with a loss against Westford. So you've got, in terms of the playoff picture, you've got 8 teams in the MVC in the playoffs, and we will talk about matchups and who's going where, and everything we talk about. By the way, because I mean the calls, the text, it's a great thing that folks have started looking to us for answers and respecting what we're doing, and we appreciate that. But listen, the official calls in terms of playoffs do not come out until Sunday afternoon. They meet.
Oh, overtime at the MIA, that's got to be like more than the cops working the details.
Oh,
of the
yeah,
lines.
right?
Oh, God. Like Sunday.
I can hear the money meter
Oh, my
going
God.
right now.
So, and plus we've still got a game today, a big game, Drake and Tewksbury at 1:30 today. So that's going to determine some positioning as well. So what we're going to talk about today in terms of playoff scenarios and likely playoff matchups, we're basing them off of Jim Clark's rankings and ratings. And Jim Clark, for those who don't know, night desk editor at the Boston Herald, does a phenomenal job. He's been spot on in terms of predictions, in terms of slotting. He has this Google Doc that he puts out that is just phenomenal. It has every record of every team, and tries to estimate the MIAA point system as much as possible. And as I said, he's been pretty much spot on.
I could have used him to get through college statistics.
Right?
It wouldn't have taken 3 times.
I was saying
It would not have taken me 3 times if I had Jim Clark by my side. That's all I'm going to say.
I would like to have. So we were efforting to have Jim Clark on today. I don't think it's going to happen. I want to have, because listen, I'm a spreadsheet nerd in terms of Google Docs, and that was the spreadsheet. He's got spreadsheet game, Jim Clark. So it was very You can check that out. Go to I guess the easiest way. Follow him on Twitter _the_slot, in the slot. You can also get to him by going to Danny Ventura's page, and we'll link to him on the MVC Gridiron Weekly Twitter. But it's great stuff, and we'll talk those playoff matchups later. In terms of what you saw last night, Bill, with Methuen Lawrence, and what we saw across the board in terms of these last games, how are you guys feeling about these teams going into the playoffs?
Well, for Methuen, it was the only kind of answer they could have done after losing the Central in that way, having a ton of penalties, not having their sharpest game. They needed to come out against Lawrence in the beginning and be dominant in all aspects of the game. And although Lawrence scored a couple of TDs on long passes, little breakdowns here and there, definitely a group of kids that did not quit at all. Some silly penalties, some personal fouls and things, but unfortunately that's been Lawrence's thing for a number of years, when frustration sets in. But for Methuen, their line was just pretty dominant all night. The quarterback had, a heck of a night, over 100 yards rushing and almost 200 yards passing. Brutus scored a few times. A lot of people really stepped up, but the only response Methuen could have done after losing the Central. So
what's the scuttlebutt, Bill? You're around it. Where do they look? Where are they going? What's the seeding?
Acton, Boxborough. It looks like they're going to be up now. So we've got an issue here in terms of the forfeit with Everett. So that's going to if
good article on Twitter about the forfeits and how it's not only impacting the team each week that can't play, and it hurts their stats. It hurts their, the seniors. They lose a game. The seniors lose, points and things that kind of help them. But the seedings for the playoffs are also affected by this. So that's the part that we're confused about.
Historically, Hector, in your belief, just going by history, will they penalize Everett here? Is Everett going to end up 3?
Penalized? I don't think there's a penalty. It's
just fact.
Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with that with Masco with the forfeit there too. It's just something that has to be done. You have rules, you have to follow them. So I don't think it's a penalty, but it's.
Do they not get points though for a forfeit? That's the part that I still don't understand.
Yeah, that may be a gray area.
So like Barica right now is 8th seed in their division, but they haven't made up the Andover game yet,
right.
And it doesn't look like they will. So if they're short points and someone surpasses them, that's not necessarily something that I think the MIAA is accounting for.
And that's where some of this ambiguity comes in terms of playoff matchups, just outside of the Saturday games, because Jim Clark still has Everett slotted at number 1. Now, I don't know if that's with the forfeit, without the forfeit, but So we've got Andover going to Everett. We've got Methuen going to Acton Boxborough. So, but that could swap. That could swap based on points and how the MIAA slots these points.
I know somebody who might know more than us.
Let's get him on.
Yes. Coach EJ Perry.
EJ, you were supposed to step in on that one.
I got it. Yeah,
I lobbed it to you, and you were supposed to pick it up. Knock it out of the park right there.
Coach Tim Wood, Bill Bryant, and Hector here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. Really appreciate you joining us, and congratulations on the huge win last night.
Yeah, it was exciting for us, and as I said to everybody, what I was most excited about was the seniors, especially the kid like Gemmel, who sort of played a long time in his brother's footsteps, and then last night he had his best game of his career, because on our senior night at home, we led for, against Methuen, we led for 44 minutes and 50 seconds, and then they beat us on the last play. So it was a little bit tough for them, but just getting in the playoffs is exciting. I'm in the same boat as you. Now, the thing that I think that everybody's waiting on is that Drake-Tewksbury game. That's the only Division I game that has implications, and obviously Acton played Drake-It. So I don't know what the Herald did, if they added some of their points in, or because if Drake-It wins, then they're going to get more points. But I don't even know if they added any of the points. So that's what we're waiting on.
You're absolutely right. I don't think they added in any, because they're just going on records as is. I don't think they added in any of Drake-It's points yet. So yeah, that would.
And so if they add their points, Acton is going to pop up again.
Yeah.
The system. As much as I think there are some positives about the playoffs, the way the system works is they should clean up a little bit. But I do like the playoffs, and when you make it, even as an 8 seed, you have that potential to move on. I was telling the team this morning, we had the team in, and I was just telling them, 2 years ago, we were the 7 seed, and we made it to the North Finals. Everybody has that vein of having to get by Everett, which we're all trying to still figure out. So, but it's exciting time, and when you put 8 teams in a pool, it's great. I think the NCAA should do that, and so we're excited.
Once you get, it's the ultimate sports cliche, but once you get there, anything can happen, right? And
especially at Division I,
yeah.
Anything can happen because, and again, you could go back to the year before us. We were the 7th seed, and we got to the finals,
Yep.
if you remember.
Yep.
Everett was the 8th seed, and they got to the finals. So these are just little things that I try to tell my kids, step up, do your best, and get ready for this. And you just gotta play it out. And, we saw Acton last year, so if we got Acton, we'd be very happy. Obviously, we saw St. John's. They're in the mix, too, and we've seen Everett a bunch of times. So we're just excited. Whoever it is, we're going to be ready to play.
Coach, you mentioned the Methuen game, and just, obviously you flipped the script last night. Take us through that 2-point conversion play and just how your guys stepped up.
Well, it was funny when we scored. So we scored with like 2:30 to go, or I guess it was 2:02. We scored with 2:02, and just by chance, my son happened to be there because they have a bye week, and I was thinking about going for 2 myself, and he said, no, go for 1. So we went for 1 to go up 7. They came down in the 2 minutes, which is something we got to get through because the defense actually played unbelievable for, again, for 44 minutes, and it was just that last minute that we got to clean up. But to Lowell's credit, they came down. They scored with 32 seconds, and at first they came out in 5 wide. So I called the timeout. I had a timeout left. I called a timeout to go over what we were going to do against 5 wide. When they came out the next time, then they went full house with we knew where the ball was going. 16 was getting the ball. He was doing damage all night and was just a great player for them. And and he lined up as the scat back or whatever, Wildcat quarterback. And then it was just unbelievable meeting at the half-yard line. It was between 16, and we had two guys, Moreno and Davila. Calvin Davila hit him, dislodged the ball, and that was the game. As long as we could recover the onside kick, which we did, and then we just knelt it. And, yeah, I mean, it was like deja vu because we've lost a couple of these. I told the Lowell coach after the game, Coach Florio, that we should have a trophy for this because I think the last 7 years the point differential is like 1 point, and it's always the last play of the game. They won last year on the last play of the game, so we essentially won this year on the last play of the game. So it was
could almost make it a trophy with a popcorn bowl. Get your popcorn ready for these games. I mean, it's
because it's been unbelievable, and it's just both teams get up for it, and both sides get up for it.
So EJ, the number 16 you're talking about from Lowell is Brendan Ty.
Yeah. Brendan Ty. Yeah.
He had a big night against you guys. He was tough against you guys all night.
Yeah, he got the first touchdown of the game on a 60-yard bubble, which, again, we had the guys in today. And, Hector, you know from coaching and from playing and from being involved, it's not good to show the film. But we had gone over this play like 500 times all week. We had repped it. And they threw the bubble, and just being the type of kid he was. I mean, I went up to him after the game and just said, that's the type of football player I love. He took it 60 yards on the second play of the game, and it was on the bubble that we had practiced all week. And then he made big catches and just really did a nice job all week. And all night, and we had to deal with him the entire night. But I was happy on that last play of the game.
So speaking of football players that you love, can you tell us about Victor Harrington?
And like I said, if you want to talk to him for a second, he's here. He's just the poise that he showed. Both in the Methuen game and last night, I'm sure Florio would debate it and say Ty was the best, but from our standpoint, Victor Harrington was the best player on the team, on the field. He threw for over 250 yards. He made 20 completions. He ran for 2 touchdowns. He threw for 1 touchdown, and it was just great to watch. But like you say, being 14 years old and now you're having to play in the MVC and, week in and week out, Hector knows how I coach, so I'm tough on the good players, but I'm also tough on the quarterbacks. And he's just in a long line of great quarterbacks we've had here, and he's just filling the shoes comfortably. So we're very happy with him. So
no more softballs here. Let me ask you this straight out. A few years ago, you were very reluctant to start a freshman quarterback. You held the kid out during his freshman year early, and
Did you call my son and tell him to listen to this?
And you didn't want to go.
I'm going to get in trouble here. He's never forgiven me for that, Hector. So you getting me in trouble here?
No, but I mean, what made you go to Harrington so quick? That's my only question. I mean, you didn't play EJ4 back as a freshman right away. What made you go to this guy so quick? Is he that good?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely that good, and then it was a battle, and in Mark Bentley battled very hard. It was a battle in the preseason. You know how the spread sets go. Victor can throw it from the drop back, but he also can run, and I think that was the biggest difference when we got down to it going to opening night. Now, obviously, like you said, when you go from the gun, Hector, and that first night wasn't as smooth as we thought. There was a few interceptions and, going down to Franklin, traveling an hour, and a team that we had never seen, and they're throwing different defenses. So I'm sure that there was people in the stands a little bit leery, but then he settled in. Every quarterback's going to go through that, and what you look for in the quarterback, which Victor did unbelievable, is after that game he just blanked it out. There was no worries about the first game. We were on to the second game. He started to play well, and really, I think what solidified it was the Central game. Even though we lost, he stood in the pocket. He made huge plays. He made a huge pass to our receiver, Zelanskis. He took some hits that were unbelievable, and we were just pleased after that. And like I said, Methuen Bethune and Lowell, he's just played outstanding.
I mean, 92-yard drive with 2 fourth-down conversions. You know, that's the exclamation point in terms of his maturity, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, that was unbelievable. And like I said, 2 of our receivers, Gemmel and a sophomore. I mean, we look very good. I mean, we're worried about next week, but we had a kid by the name Jofi Frias made a huge catch. He's a sophomore. Kid by the name of J-Ron Chevrolet. He's a sophomore. He made 2 huge catches on that drive. And then obviously Gemmel. But he's going to have some targets, and he's going to do the job. You mind if you ask just a couple questions of Victor?
Yeah, absolutely. Bill, you got one more for EJ?
No, we'll get Victor on.
All right.
Okay, absolutely, Coach. Thanks.
EJ, thank you. Your answer about the quarterback thing will satisfy us, but not your son.
Hey,
that was going to be what I was going to say. We're going to send that to you for Thanksgiving. We'll let you handle that family-wise, but we want to get Victor on.
And by the way, Coach, I got the same thing with my dad. My dad called me out. He was the home plate ump in a championship game, called me out, and I was clearly safe. They had instant replay back then, 25 years later. So I'll hook you up with my dad.
All right, Victor,
thanks, EJ.
Victor, you on?
Yes, I am.
Oh, Victor's on. Okay.
Hey, Victor, this is Bill Bryant. My son Connor plays quarterback for Methuen. So as a dad of a 17-year-old who I'm looking at all the adversity and the stress of being a Division I quarterback, I can only imagine, being 14 and being the starter for Andover, which has a long history of great football players, quarterbacks. How's the season going, and how are you handling this pressure?
Well, the first game was a little tough, but we settled in and we found our spot, and the record doesn't show, but we've been working really hard, and the team has been getting good games and just all around good, improving, and we're just all around getting better.
What have you seen over the course of the year as a quarterback that's developed? Coach Perry was talking about, your pocket passing, but obviously you're able to run. Last night you had a couple of running touchdowns. What have you seen as your growth developing over the course of the year as far as just seeing the field a little bit differently, things slowing down? Give me some examples of things you've seen improved.
Well, different coverages has definitely been a help. I have awesome coaches that help me through all that. And, just finally settling in the pocket and being able to finally realize that I can run was also a big help.
So, Victor, playoff bound, you excited about that?
Yes, I am very excited.
I mean, that's got to be, obviously you're not thinking ahead, but this has got to be a thrill to be a freshman and to be headed to the playoffs, regardless of who you play.
Yeah, it's a complete honor to play as a freshman, especially with these amazing coaches, and they're just putting me in the right spot to succeed.
Victor, tell us just in terms of the unsung heroes behind what you guys are doing. I would imagine you'd probably want to give some shout-outs to your offensive line.
Yeah, my line is amazing. I haven't really taken a lot of sacks. The part of them are just on me getting the ball out late, but they're doing an amazing job protecting me and making sure that we get the ball in the end zone.
Who are some of those guys?
What'd you say?
Who are some of those guys? Let's give them a shout out.
Well, first of all, our center, Romano Duncan, he has been outstanding for me. Vinny Bono, he's a great lineman. Coyle, he is also amazing.
Ethan Coyle, yeah.
And just pretty much everyone.
So Victor, as a freshman on varsity, you're clearly the youngest kid in the locker room. You're the youngest kid in the field. Who's been on the team that, as a mentor, that's kind of had your back, put you under their wing, that's really kind of taken care of you? Anyone specifically, or a couple of people?
Easily Nick Zelanskas. He has always kept my head up even when the times get tough. He has just been like a brother to me so far, and it's a bummer that he's going on to college, but he has helped me through all the tough situations and had my back when I needed it.
I just want to say this, obviously I've seen you play against Methuen and hearing you right now, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm impressed so far on the field, but even right now you're conducting yourself like kind of a veteran here, so I'm going to look forward to watching you play the rest of the season as well as the next 3 years.
Thank you so much.
What does this matchup, just getting the chance to get to the playoffs, to knock off a top seed here, what does that mean to you, just leading this team to that situation?
I mean, it's just an amazing feeling. All our guys have worked really hard, and it's not just on me, it's our whole team. And it's just amazing playing at this level right now. I'm learning a lot and just getting better.
So Victor, you burst on the scene in football. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Do you play any other sports? Do you play any other sports coming up at Andover High?
I also play baseball. I am an outfielder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a tradition-rich program there at Andover. You're hoping to, maybe you can play on an upper level this year, or are you thinking, varsity right away?
Well, football's my main sport, so whatever I can get on, I'll take. Mm-hmm. But it's just fun to play either way.
All right.
One of the papers, not my paper, but one of the out-of-town papers, let's say, it had a typo earlier in the season, and they called you Victory Harrington. So listen, congratulations on the victory last night, and I mean, as Bill said, very impressed. I got to see, got to see a bunch of tape on you, and impressed with just your poise here on the show, and congratulations on the success so far, and good luck in the playoffs and beyond, Victor.
Thank you so much.
All right, have a good day.
Okay, you too.
Thanks to E.J. Perry and to Victor Harrington, another twofer for joining us here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. Very, very happy that we could get Andover on the show here. Just the way the games were working out, and I think a couple. Anyway, it was just good to have him. Good to have him on. Good to hear from Victor, from Coach Perry. What's your takeaway from that, Hector?
Well, like I said, I brought it up. I think it's phenomenal. He's starting a freshman.
Yeah.
Like I said, he didn't start his son right away. It was midway through the year before EJ4 actually got some playing time. So I think that shows you a little bit about EJ the coach.
Your question was probably my highlight question of the year because it had a twofer. Little busting us the chops, which is just everything I live for. But then also legit for this kid to start as a freshman when, his son's a BC quarterback, and he didn't get to start his freshman year. I loved that question was fantastic.
So
now on the flip side of that, because I was almost cracking up, a little twofer here, busting and calling out what you just said. Your question, it was the stereotypical first question to Tom Brady. So you won. How do you feel about that? Come on, man, you're better than that.
I have some of the worst opening questions in the history of interviews.
I think I read something from you that talked about that.
Yes, just there have been times that I just been totally dreadful.
You got to get the conversation started.
A roommate of mine in the past used to say, my questions always would be, how about the sun, huh? that I ended every question with the word huh, and so we're trying to pick up on the interview skills.
I haven't heard it talk about though. That's when you know you got a bad interviewer.
What?
Yeah.
The what?
The talk about question.
Yes.
Talk about Friday's game.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, listen, we all improve every day.
Yeah.
We all strive to improve every day.
It's a craft.
It is. It's if you're not moving forward, you're not moving.
Absolutely. But if you say something stupid, you take ownership for it and you move on.
There you go.
And that's what Hector definitely has done.
And by the way, I also looked on Wikipedia at the at the meaning, and I knew this already, but I just wanted to confirm this, of carpetbagger.
Okay.
I am a New England native.
Okay.
I was down south. I came back north. the carpetbagger was usually the northerner who goes down south. So they called me a carpetbagger down there.
Elizabeth Warren. That's a carpetbagger.
All right, now,
Oh gosh, are you going to go there?
next, Lou, can you have Tim look up the word digress because he's going way too
Hey,
far
listen,
back.
I've already Lou already knows this. The
When
title
is-
of my autobiography is going to be "But I Digress."
When is Michael Lefebvre coming on from Catholic? That's all I want to know.
Next.
Let's move on here.
We're going. I thought you were a fan of the ball busting. Not on the air, I guess.
And he lives in Methuen,
Okay.
right?
I just did. I called
I've
him.
never done that.
I called him
I've
by the-
never done that.
Bethune, my
I've
bad.
never done that.
Are we taking a break?
Let's take a quick break. We will little giddiness this morning. We will come right back here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance.
Everyone is cashing in on social media, and all marketing roads lead through social media. If you want to make a splash here in the Merrimack Valley, you need to tap in. This is where the new CEM podcast studios come in. Of course, you can spend your time, energy, and money learning how to wrangle technology to make a podcast instead of running your business. Or you can invest in telling everyone in the Merrimack Valley, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, the Seacoast, or everywhere in the world about your great business, product, service, or yourself. The CEM Podcast Studio is a local audio and video studio dedicated to the craft of podcasts. Their studios feature state-of-the-art recording and mixing equipment designed specifically to produce the best audio and video podcasts. Best of all you need to worry about is your show, your business, and your brand. We do the rest. Call 978-686-9966. That's 978-686-9966 to schedule a no-obligation tour of the CEM facilities and meet with a podcast specialist. Or go to CEMpodcast.com to find out more about podcasting services. CEMpodcast.com, your window to the world.
I love talking about my man Val Davila. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila made that a reality in February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now Right in Place Insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and Mapfre, just to name a few. Need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home? Davila and DeFusco prides itself in having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them at 225 Broadway or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, or visit them online at daviladefusco.com. Back here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. Joining us, are we? Is he on the line, Luke?
Yes, he is.
He is on the line. Join us now, the star from the Central Catholic Red Raiders.
Not Red, just Raiders. Central Catholic Raiders.
You know what I did? You see what I did?
panicking, Michael. He's panicking.
I was looking at Bill as I said that because I did it on purpose. Sorry, Michael. It's Michael Lefebvre. Is that yeah?
Yeah, you got it right.
I got it. Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah, no, you got the name right.
One of the story families in the valley, Mike. We got you. Don't worry about it. Tim will jump on board. We promise.
Welcome to MVC Gridiron Weekly. Congratulations on just a huge win last night against Haverhill, and just the overall season here, Michael.
Last night, I just wanted to thank you for having me, but last night was definitely a huge win for us. We needed that. We're starting to click a lot better. Like each week, I think, is getting better and better, slowly but surely. And it's been a good season, but we definitely grew as a team because we didn't start at where we are right now.
So you're one of the few seniors that were left in the fray, Mike. What was it like? Did you have to play big brother early to a lot of the young guys to get them kind of up to speed here to get these guys going?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I mean, I think our senior leadership was real good, like in the off season on the weight room with attendance and making sure guys are getting there, or any camps in the off season, or knowing your plays once camp starts in August, all that type of stuff. We were definitely on them a lot about that.
So talk about last night at Haverhill. Good crowd, good atmosphere. You guys certainly came to play.
Yeah, no, I mean, we knew going into Haverhill they always bring a good crowd.
My sophomore year, actually, when they beat us down there, that crowd was crazy. Last night was another big, great crowd. They always bring that, and we love that atmosphere. Coach A and the staff always has us ready for, like, big atmospheres like that.
Now, have you guys measured for the hoodies yet, Mike, or do you wait for that MVC championship hoodie? Are we waiting on that, or are you guys going to measure up and get that order out today? You still have one more in the league, right? I'm kind of joking with you, Mike.
Yeah, right now.
He was setting you up to take grief from the coach.
Yeah.
I know.
All right, Mike, so what's this like now as you prepare for the playoffs compared to a year or last spring, say, when you guys were in Super 8 baseball and you're getting ready for that? Is it the same kind of feeling? Is football totally different than baseball? How do you compare the two seasons that you've had?
I mean, it's definitely similar. Because Coach P is retired now, but Coach P and Coach A are both old school guys who, practice ramps up another notch once it's playoff season. And, you gotta practice well if you want to play well. So if you want to play big time games, you gotta have good practices for the playoffs. So yeah, it's definitely similar.
Now, Mike, I don't know if people know you. You had a big football injury and you bounced back. How is the knee that was hurt? Was it last winter, or last fall, or the fall of your sophomore year? And how are you feeling right now? Are you 100% back? Is it 95? Is it 110? Are you that much? Are you all the way back?
No, it's 110. It's better than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
It was last fall.
Okay.
Right I was in the Everett game last year, but
okay.
It's 110% right now. Better and stronger than it was last year.
Michael, just reading the stats from last night. This is Bill Bryant. The defense was just dominating. Talk a little bit about that. Matt Cassis, A.J. Caginelli, Ryan Finneran. You guys gave up 59 total yards and 2 first downs. As a fan of football, that's domination. So just talk a little bit about that and maybe mention some other names of people that were just absolutely stepping up last night.
Each week Coach A always has us ready as far as making sure we're watching film, making sure we're keying in on certain formations or certain reads. So I think the linebackers did a great job with their calls last night. The safeties did too, Hausch and Donadio, but the linebackers did a great job with their calls, getting the D-line set up. And then you got guys like Chris Jones at nose guard who just drives centers wild. Dom Petty, Nick Diero, Ryan Finner, and they all do a great job down there, just taking on blockers and doing whatever they got to do for guys like Mark and Levy to come in and fill those holes.
Mike, what have you guys discussed playoff scenarios at all? We're looking at it on paper right now. It looks like either way, in terms of how the points work out, that you're going to get Lexington. Have you guys heard anything directly? We're thinking we're going to get Lexington as of last night. That's what we were thinking, but that's the most that we've talked about the playoffs is last night. We'll take it week by week.
All right, Mike. So you are, like, we joked about Tim not knowing how to say your last name, but you do come from a storied family, both politically, athletically. Dad is a Lawrence High Hall of Famer. And you had to deal with Big Sis being, the star athlete at Methuen High, Catherine, in both softball and hockey. And does that kind of heap extra pressure on you to live up to the family name? How do you feel about that as a high school kid?
I don't really look at it as like pressure or anything. I think it's just kind of motivating, and it's just like, I don't know. It's two people for me to look up to, an older sister and a dad. It's just like inspiring, I think, to me. No pressure.
Michael, your Uncle Peter does not give you pressure.
He'll get on me. For sure.
All right, just checking, because I've run into him a couple of times over the last month, and he definitely lets me know he gives you a ton of hard time, and obviously a lot of positive. Yeah. You're having a great season. Did you get any touches last night? You played both ways, special teams. Where were you last night as far as on the offensive side as well?
Last night I had a good night. I was in the slot. I always play the slot on offense. I had 3 or 4 catches, little like speed sweep. It was a good night. It was a good night.
4 catches, 42 yards. Got a carry as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Always good to get on the stat sheet. In terms, tell me just in terms of this, in terms of just being from Methuen, going to Central, going in the playoffs. How is it in terms of just representing Methuen at Central and having these moments with such a storied school and getting this moment one more time to represent your city, your school during playoff time?
It's pretty special, especially at a place like Central Catholic where there's so much tradition and history behind it. So it's pretty humbling, and like I'm proud to be from Methuen. Like I'm friends with all those kids over there, but Central was definitely the right choice for me, and I've loved it so far.
All right, Mike. So we're gonna wrap it up with you, but we would be very remiss if we didn't bring it up here. Coach Pelletier did announce that he's stepping down after 30 years in baseball, and you playing for him. And I've known Mark forever, and just a great baseball coach. As a player, what's it like to play for Mark Pelletier? Like I said, who stepped down this week and announced he's stepping down.
Playing for Coach P was definitely one of the funnest times I've had on a baseball field in my whole career. Just the way he makes practice, the way he makes the meetings, the games every day, the energy's always up. He's trying to get you better. And not only as like a baseball player, he's trying to get you better as a student, as a son, as a person, everything, every aspect of life, he's going to try and get you better. And I think we all love him for that, and we're all going to miss him, but we know that he's at that time where he's going to want to spend more time with his family. Both of his kids are like always away at school or at sea on a ship or something, so we're going to miss him.
All right. Sounds good.
Mike, really appreciate you taking the time to come on. Congratulations on the season, on your career, and just best of luck here moving ahead in the playoffs and everything you do, baseball, everything at Central, and congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's Mike Lefebvre here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. Great question in terms of Coach P and just you could hear the emotion in his voice.
Look, Mark is an intense baseball guy, always has been, but I'm always amazed how much he cared about every single game that baseball team played over the years. I probably covered 100 of his games through the years.
And every player.
Maybe more. Yeah. Just good stuff from him. So
I mean, Michael's comes from a great family. You know, a lot of support. Know his mom. Know his dad. I mean. For great athlete, tough kid. For him to get you could just tell there was emotion in there. And that was a.
And they went through a lot last year with the Super 8. That was an incredible run. You know, something that school had never done in that tournament last year. It was a really cool team. He had some big hits too last spring in the Super 8. I know he went into the playoffs kind of on a low hitting wise. He was good early, then struggled a little bit, and then he came alive in the postseason. Clutch player, Mike Lefebvre.
He's been kind of an athlete since he was
just like Bobby was back in the day. Jeez, it's whatever. To chip off the old block. I hate to. Bobby was such a great athlete back in the day and punished Central over and over again, and other schools too.
Absolutely.
Back in the day, but Michael was a very clutch kid too. So.
All right, we have another clutch kid in the on deck circle. We will take a quick break. Bring in Matt Martino from Methuen. We'll talk some Rangers football, some Rangers playoff scenarios with Matt. We'll do that right after the break here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. I love talking about my man Val Davila. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila made that a reality in February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now Right in Place Insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and Mapfre, just to name a few. Need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home? Davila and DeFusco prides itself in having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. put their experience to work for you. Visit them at 225 Broadway or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, or visit them online at daviladefusco.com.
Everyone is cashing in on social media, and all marketing roads lead through social media. If you want to make a splash here in the Merrimack Valley, you need to tap in. This is where the new CEM podcast studios come in. Of course, you can spend your time, energy, and money learning how to wrangle technology to make a podcast instead of running your business. Or you can invest in telling everyone in the Merrimack Valley, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, the Seacoast, or everywhere in the world about your great business, product, service, or yourself. The CEM Podcast Studio is a local audio and video studio dedicated to the craft of podcasts. Their studios feature state-of-the-art recording and mixing equipment designed specifically to produce the best audio and video podcast. Best of all you need to worry about is your show, your business, and your brand. We do the rest. Call 978-686-9966. That's 978-686-9966 to schedule a no-obligation tour of the CEM facilities and meet with a podcast specialist. Or go to CEMpodcast.com to find out more about podcasting services. CEMpodcast.com, your window to the world.
Back here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila DeFusco Insurance. Hey, want to give a shout out to another one of our sponsors, Jen Hamilton, the realtor. She's a Keller Williams representative, and she, whether you're buying or selling, Jen has a storied history of delivering for her clients, with all across the Merrimack Valley, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. You're buying, you're selling. Crucial time in the market right now. Get your home ready and get in touch with Jen. She will give you a no-cost evaluation, free estimate, and let you know where you're at in terms of selling, and she will find you the best possible result on the market. Jen Hamilton, award winner. She's been an award winner for Keller Williams in terms of volume sales. Put her experience to work for you. Phone number is 508-95. Let me see here. I had it up on the screen and then it's gone. 508. All right, we'll get the phone number in a second.
Preparation, Tim.
I had it. I had it, and it left.
Matt, we call that dead air.
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good. No good on the dead air. But listen, we're huge fans of Jen Hamilton. She's a huge football fan and a big, big supporter of MVC Gridiron Weekly. 508-954-7941 is the number to call for Jen Hamilton. All right, back here on the show. And we've got our first in-studio guest.
Man, did this place just get upgraded looks-wise, huh?
Exactly.
Wow. You said two guys, and now it's three ugly guys and a good-looking kid, all right?
There you go.
Didn't I tell you that downstairs?
Honest to God, what a step up. Lou, what's going on here? We're all going to be out of a job in a second.
I know, right?
Matt Martino, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah,
for having me.
pretty good after last night, huh? Big touchdown, big victory for Methuen.
Yeah, great victory heading into the playoffs. A lot of momentum.
Yeah, Matt's here. I mean, last night, first touchdown of the game was the quarterback, Connor Bryant, who you've been playing with for a few years, to you. And it kind of was not your first big play, but, in terms of that game, it was a much-needed touchdown. And then after that, you were both sides of the ball, all over the field, and went up to your old man last night and just said, Matt's kind of back. Talk a little bit about what that means by, what are you back from, and how have you handled that adversity as far as your knee injury?
Well, last year against Andover, I tore my ACL, and it's been a long road to recovery. And last night, getting a touchdown, felt like the old days being back, and I'm glad to be back.
Just take us through in terms of the rehab, the slowly getting back percentage-wise, and just the feel, the comfort level where you get past feeling like I'm gonna injure this again.
Well, it was just 8 long months of rehab. Got cleared in August. Then right when I got my knee brace, day after, I was back at the field with Kareem, Ricky, Caleb, trying to get ready for the season. And I just had to get confidence, built it up with the knee brace, and I'm fully confident with it now.
I mean, you would think. I mean, first touchdown. This guy gets in the paper all the. This Connor Bryant, he gets in the paper all the time. You would think the touchdown. You would think they'd give you the big shot, wouldn't you? Come
QB
on
love.
now.
QB love.
Right?
There was a good picture.
It's all about the QBs.
There was a good picture on the online version where you were smothering the Lawrence running back, though. I know
Yeah, it was a good
your
picture.
old man
Okay,
might have
all right.
put that all over social media.
All right.
So,
Plenty. No disses on the Eagle Tribune. Plenty of love. We love them. But tell us about that play and how it came to be in terms of the touchdown.
Dugan has a great mind.
That's your O coordinator, Ryan.
Dugan, our offensive coordinator, ran the right play at the right time. Nobody was covering me. Caught the touchdown.
So Matt, as a Pup Honor player early on, even freshman year, you were getting some varsity time, some touches as a running back. Being a kid who's been used to scoring touchdowns, year after year after year, and then having a knee injury, and now playing tight end, playing defensive end, you've basically changed positions completely. How has that been? And like I said last night, as someone who's watched you play for a long time, you were all over the field. You were in most plays. Not scoring, unfortunately, for you right now. Next year's coming soon. But you were blocking. You were making some key blocks. Talk a little bit about that switch.
It was a really big switch, changing from covering passes and running the ball to blocking and just being on the line. It was a big switch, personally. A lot to learn at the defensive end position and tight end position, knowing how to block, learning what to do at every position now.
How do you? It's not the glamour. There's no glamour on the line.
No, there is.
So how do you get your ego around that in terms of just understanding doing the job for the team versus kind of being in those ego positions?
Just not being selfish, doing what's best for the team, doing your job.
Absolutely.
So Matt, last year, talk about a little bit more adversity last year. Someone real close to you and your dad. You want to just touch on that a little bit and just a lot went on last year and just seeing you as a young man grow into a man over the last couple of years has been pretty amazing. But definitely something I'd love to give a shout out to your mom.
Yeah, I miss her. It was a tough loss, made me mature a lot, and brought me to where I am today.
What's her name?
Her name is Dana Rusco Martino.
Dana Rusco Martino. And I got to imagine getting in the end zone. Little shout out to above.
Yeah, it was for her.
Phenomenal. Tell us just in terms of how you've seen this team mature. From the first week we had guys in here on Ranger Nation Radio, everybody was saying, listen, we're young, but there's something here. There's something here. This is not going to be a rebuilding year. Tell us just how you've seen this team mature.
Well, it was basically a JV team heading up to a varsity team. Not many players had varsity experience, and our leaders like Aaron Surth, Ian, Wes, just matured us and got us to where we need to be, as well as Coach Ryan, Dugan, all the coaches.
That's the first time I've ever heard a player refer to him by Dugan's by his first name. Everybody always says Dugan. I didn't even think you guys knew his first name. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. All right.
I just want to know, it's tough. Football's like a tough sport. Okay, we all know that. At this point in time of the year, a lot of kids have had enough. It starts to get cold at practice. It's how important is the fact that you're playing for something now? You got the playoffs coming up. You're playing games that matter. How important is it to keep you guys going?
It's very important. Just not slack at practice and do what we're supposed to. Got to treat every game like it's a Super Bowl.
And every kid dreams about being a champion. Do you still think maybe we got a chance here? Can we turn things around? You've had losses. You're looking to win it all. That's what I'm saying. You're not going to be satisfied with one win.
Yeah, I think we can compete with any team, and I hope we do.
Acton-Boxborough is what you're looking at on paper. Now, things could change. There's still some points to be figured out, but whether it's Acton-Boxborough, Everett, whoever it might be, you're definitely on paper playing up. How does the team get up for knowing they're going to come in the underdog, hitting the road, What's the keys to just getting the team up for that?
Just a thought of a playoff football game. Nothing more to it.
So every time you put the blue and white uniform on, you're representing the city of Methuen. Now all of a sudden, you're playing in a state playoff. Does the fact that you want to stand up for the MVC, does it make a good accounting for your league? Does that matter to you too?
That's definitely a factor in it, yes. Representing the MVC, going over there and hopefully winning against Afton Boxborough.
And how good a football do you think the MVC is? If you watch other leagues, do you think...
it's a very tough league, very good league as well.
What about, after that, you got Thanksgiving, you got Drake-It, you have other playoff teams. As a junior, depending on where the playoff goes, is this for you still, obviously we win, we keep going on. If we lose, you're still looking to kind of rehab and come along. So talk a little bit about your own growth personally and kind of developing and continue to get back to where you want to be goal-wise.
Yeah. If worse does come to worse and we do lose against Acton Boxborough, it'll just be a learning experience for us juniors. It'll be tough for the seniors, but us juniors will just have to learn about that pain and keep it forward till next year so we can hopefully win further into the playoffs.
Bill asked it to Victor, and I would throw the same thing at you in terms of just as you were coming back from the injury. What give us some players on the team in terms of the guys that kept your emotions and your courage and your drive where it needed to be as you were rehabbing?
Kareem, Ricky, Caleb, 3 to note. Working out with them every day in the summer, just trying to get back to how I was before the injury. Those guys helped me a lot.
So Kareem Coleman, Ricky Brutus, and Caleb Adamas, all juniors, all putting in some pretty significant time as well. So getting back on the field and hitting and grinding with them probably is even sweeter then.
Yeah, it's great to be back with them. Missed it.
All right, Matt. So obviously Mr. Bryan here has known you forever. I don't really know you too well, so I kind of want to ask you a couple tougher questions to kind of gauge what kind of person you are. So I'll just shoot one out there. We'll probably be out around noon-ish here, and I'm in Methuen with you here, and I need lunch. Where's Matt Martino going to recommend me to go to lunch in Methuen?
Chipotle.
Really? Chipotle, Matt? And see,
that's not the first.
You're so young,
Chipotle.
Matt. Honest to God, you're so young. Really? I always thought you were going to throw a Thwaites pork pie at me or something like that, or at least a Tripoli's at me. You go
or
Chipotle.
I don't know, maybe Bada Bing, which is kind of a huge sponsor for Methuen sports and everyone else in Methuen.
We didn't prep you.
And they're
it's
actually,
okay. It's okay.
And they're actually having a fundraiser today for someone that's close to Bada Bing family that one of their kids has cancer, and they're doing a noon to close basically fundraiser. Percentage of the food and bar is going to the daughter as well as raffle items today. So no pressure, but
Matt,
get your food at Bada Bing today.
Matt, I'm giving you a hard time about it because I'll tell you, I drove my son to Chipotle 68 times in 1 year, I think. So it's obviously a good place to be.
So drove or joined?
No, drove him back in the day.
Yeah, okay. You don't.
So follow-up question though: what other sports do you play, and what's the rest of the year look like for you? As far as playing lacrosse this year, as far as what else is going on?
I'm looking to play basketball, track in the spring, and lifting.
So that's Bill basically trying to put lacrosse into your head here.
Yep, it is.
Okay.
Just being consistent, kid.
Who outside of the rehab, who are the unsung heroes for you on this Methuen team? The guys that don't get a lot of pub or press.
All linemen.
Of course, right?
Yeah, all of them.
What about our kicker, Justin?
Justin Sheehan, great kicker. Puts on all the extra points for us. Does his job.
That's a kid that, in Hector, you've been talking about it all year long, the importance of a kicking game. Justin's has been kicking since 8th grade in Pop Honor, and he's a kid that's had some impact. But, if there's ever going to be a day that Methuen has an upset over a higher-ranked opponent, I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to be Justin that's going to, kick them over the edge. Because any team we play that's in the Division I playoffs, there's not going to be a blowout, as far as a win. It's going to be a close game. That's the whole goal of this. But I could see Justin having some impact if Methuen was able to pull out a win like that.
For sure.
Matt, hoops. How are you guys going to be in hoops, you think? Any idea how the hoop team's going to be?
I think we're gonna be a really good hoop team.
I mean, I saw him a little bit of Hoops of Hope this summer. Did you play at all? Or
No, I wasn't able to do
with the
anything.
knee? Yeah. Okay.
And we have a kid transfer back in, right? A kid from Methuen that was at Bishop Curtin.
Andrew Lucia.
Andrew Lucia, who
yeah.
got some good quality varsity time as a freshman. I noticed he transferred over from Methuen. That's going to be a nice little upgrade. He's got some good size and an excellent outside shot.
But we don't want to
very good player.
We don't want to talk about hoops yet, right?
Okay,
We're still focused on football,
season
right?
still.
All right.
All right. Any other shout outs in terms of teachers, family, friends that we really appreciate you coming in the studio. So anything you want to plug?
Shout out my grandmothers. Shout out all my
what are the
great
names?
teachers.
What do
Yvonne Rusco, Tete, my other grandmother, and Martino, Nanny. My father, of course, Mark Martino. My Aunt Patty, and my favorite teacher, Miss Coleman.
Nice. Get the teacher in there. Your dad's been doing some PR for you on in the comments too as well. So definitely getting some love.
Love you, Dad.
Good stuff.
All right. Anything else, guys?
No, I'm good. Just glad to see
Yeah.
you back on the field and playing, kind of all over the field. You definitely deserve it. You've worked hard, and good things to come for you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Go get him this week.
Absolutely.
Always. Thank you.
Matt Martino, Methuen Rangers, huge thank you for coming in studio. We'll take one more quick break here. We'll come back. We'll talk star performers. We'll talk week 8 or playoff time matchups. And we'll talk a little bit about the the weekly MVP vote. We'll do that after the break here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance.
Everyone is cashing in on social media, and all marketing roads lead through social media. If you want to make a splash here in the Merrimack Valley, you need to tap in. This is where the new CEM podcast studios come in. Of course, you can spend your time, energy, and money learning how to wrangle technology to make a podcast instead of running your business. Or you can invest in telling everyone in the Merrimack Valley, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, the Seacoast, or everywhere in the world about your great business, product, service, or yourself. The CEM Podcast Studio is a local audio and video studio dedicated to the craft of podcasts. Their studios feature state-of-the-art recording and mixing equipment designed specifically to produce the best audio and video podcast. Best of all you need to worry about is your show, your business, and your brand. We do the rest. Call 978-686-9966. That's 978-686-9966 to schedule a no-obligation tour of the CEM facilities and meet with a podcast specialist. Or go to CEMpodcast.com to find out more about podcasting services. CEMpodcast.com, your window to the world.
I love talking about my man, Val Davila. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila made that a reality in February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now Right in Place Insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and Mapfre, just to name a few. Need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home? Davila and DeFusco prides itself in having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them at 225 Broadway or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, or visit them online at daviladefusco.com. Back here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. We're looking at the comments here. Myrna Ramon is on. John Houlihan missing the show, but he'll catch the rebroadcast. My sister Didi on here watching with her new French boyfriend, who I call Gerard Depardieu. Let's see. Eddie McKinnon, Coach Perry has been unbelievable to our young Methuen kids. He invited all of our freshmen to his throwing clinics all off season long. Well done, Victor, on. As we've said, so mature for 14. Sam Ferrullo, this out of nowhere. What was this? Do we know?
He just got the reaction he wanted. That's for sure.
Seriously, no one loves Tim Wood more than me.
No, honestly, he saw how much you boated over the North Andover kid. So I think he's just gonna just real jam.
Hey, well done, well done. No. I mean that's a That's a veteran move right there.
Sam
Well
went
done,
all Tim
Sammy.
he went all Tim on us after I brought him up the first time on this show.
Hey,
Et tu, Sammy.
Yep.
Et tu. You are killing me.
from your inside source. That was funny, and I totally bought it. I wasn't even thinking Bill was texting you. You're like, I got an inside
wasn't
source
Bill.
at the game.
It wasn't Bill.
No, it wasn't Bill. Okay, all right.
At 2, Timmy.
Right.
I'm dying to know, after Tim's amazing campaign last week, who won the MVP vote?
So, great question. Joe Santoro. The Hillies came out.
Might have had something to do with some midweek tweeting, Bill. Don't tell anyone, but there was some midweek tweeting by me.
I was doing some tweeting too, just in
Electrifying
terms
the
of,
Hilly Nation.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well
so
done.
I really thought Baruch was going to pull it off because they're typically
It
a
really
talent,
was.
and
This was a three-way race because the Houlihan was right in the mix there until Tuesday night, Wednesday. So if it was you, I put some stuff out there, kind of trying to spur people on too, because it was
we
a real
know
close.
what you
It
did
was
for
a
Freddie
close.
Gavin.
Oh, my
Tim, okay?
goodness.
We know there's no secrets there how you lobbied for Freddie
Loop
Gavin.
Weekly North Andover is coming real soon.
Listen, if you're not going to win the MVP vote with 280 yards that week, I don't know,
But Tim,
man.
but also, all kidding aside, though, I think the whole point of this is to show the community has to step
Absolutely.
up.
Get your community out. And you know what? To get a defensive guy some love, that was awesome. So
We're highlighting the athletes and the coaches. That was
Yeah.
the whole point of us getting together and doing
Yeah.
this. The community has to continue to step up and get out there and vote and tweet and watch this show and get advertisers. That's kind of their job. Us, we're doing it here. We're putting it out there. We're serving it. And now they got to step up and do their thing.
Are we waiting for today's game to put up this week's poll?
we are. Thank you. We are waiting. Drake at Tewksbury will wait until that plays out. I mean, there's we can go through the star performance there. There's some obvious candidates. Freddie again, classy Freddie. Gavin over at North Andover, 6 rushes, 153 yards on 6 rushes, 2 touchdowns.
Off day.
Off day, a little bit, yeah. Jake McElroy, 9 for 12, 136 yards, 2 TDs passing, a 51-yard QB keeper rush. TD passes to Matthew Chico and Darren Watson. Ryan Slattery, Mark Federico at North Andover, 11 tackles apiece. We mentioned Central Catholic, the O and the D line. I mean, created holes that led to 292 yards on the ground for Central Catholic. Limited, as Bill mentioned, limited the Hillies to 59 total yards and 2 first downs. And you think about the way that the Hillies play in terms of just running straight at you. I mean, 2 first downs playing against that kind of offense. I mean, it just tells you how this Central team has come along week after week. Very impressive.
Hector's got a little grin over there. I'm getting nervous. I'm getting nervous.
I'm going to give away a little bit of a trade secret here because I learned from the master, Bill Burt, that 11 tackles line, 11 tackles is the line for, I don't really keep tackles, but this kid made every play.
So 11 sounds good. Yes.
These guys might have had 15. Sorry, Bill.
Yeah.
I don't mean to throw that out there. But
Bus.
if we're going to grab the stats from Bill Burt's story in the Eagle Tribune today, I'm letting the world know because I do it myself. I still do it. 11 tackles means the reporter isn't talented enough to keep tackles during the game, but he saw number 63 make all these tackles. Hey, I say it myself, bro.
Oh, we're gonna have to.
I say it myself.
That kind of dig. We got to get Bill Burt on the line.
We're not puffing anything up. These are kids that legit all over the field.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Bill's not the only guy who does it. I mean, everybody does it. Like I say,
same here.
I'll give Dave Willis credit. He does video.
Editing.
He does offensive stats.
Dave Willis is crazy. Yeah,
and he still does it. I don't know how he does it.
And he still has the stats.
He still does the defensive stats. How he sees everything, I still don't know. But man, he's the one guy.
Have you seen him with his?
Yeah, no, he's
so we can give them a pass when they just say 11 tackles apiece.
I mean, you see the guy.
Kyle's got to step up his stat game a little bit. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
We'll let him know.
Okay.
Oh, you can game that. When I was a safety, I just jumped on top of the pile. I always led the team in tackles.
There you go. There you go.
Just be the first number on top.
All right. Some other stars. I left off at the O and D line. Bill, you want to throw out some others?
Yes, Jarrett's actually one of the points I was going to make to Hector is just the amount of underclassmen quarterbacks this year.
Yeah,
You know, and that's what
Yeah.
I was trying to get some more information. But like, you know, Jared Severio, a junior, 13 rushes, 104 yards, 2 TDs, 8 for 13, 2 TD passes. Joey Haushin, as Mikey Lefebvre said, all over the field, interception, fumble recovery on back-to-back possessions, and part of that dominating D for Central, along with Cassis, Caggiani, and Finneran. Victor Harrington, who was on the show, twofer with his coach Perry, 210 yards passing, 2 TDs rushing, a 92-yard game-winning drive, including 2 fourth-down conversions. Just fantastic. Andover defense, huge stop on the 2-point conversion. Go back to earlier in the show, Coach Perry pretty much did the play-by-play on that and did that play justice. Seamus Florio, Andover game-winning PAT kick and 32-yard
give
field
some love
goal.
to the kickers.
That's a
I
shout
thought
out
you guys
to
would like that.
Hector right there. David Brito, Lowell 95-yard kickoff return and a 7-yard TD catch from Aiden Foyle. Foyle quarterback, 19 for 28, 233.
All right, stop
and 3D
there.
passes, and I passed the torch over.
There you go.
Really? All right, so I'm not going to go to page 2. I'll get the last guy on page 1. Connor Bryant, another big night for the Rangers. Just again, stepping up, 15 rushes, 134 yards, a couple of TD runs, 1 TD pass, 176 yards passing, and 1 lunatic father in the stands.
Despite the one loot, yeah.
Ricky Brutus, 15 carries, 77 yards, 3 TDs. The Bethune line of Alex Fitzgerald, Aaron Sear, Sam Ferrulo. Well, I'm going to skip Sam. Ian McKinnon and Ryan Mello. Sam, don't ever forget me, kid. 226 yards rushing, and they had a lot of green out there.
I mean,
last
we already
night.
know Hector's a Hall of Famer, so you know.
You'll see Sam during hoop season and baseball season.
Okay, so. And then my man Brandon Santel over at Lawrence, the hit machine, working on his third helmet for the season. Had a 34-yard run, 71 yards rushing, and was everywhere on the field defensively.
Is that for real?
Yeah,
Goes through some
I read in the
helmets.
story that
Yeah.
he literally cracked 3 helmets, or 2
Wow.
helmets on his third helmet. So,
Yeah, no, he actually hit the
tough kid.
the kid on the list that I'm pretty close with, and he hit
Yeah.
him a couple of times, and even Matt was talking about just some bumps and
It
bruises.
was funny. I thought it was interesting talking about Brian Calorie last week about him and how much respect Brandon has from his opponents around the league.
So we've got some candidates for MVC, MVP, over 700 votes last week. We will put that up after today's game. Today's Drake at Tewksbury game at 1:30. Huge matchup to end the pre-playoff season here for these two teams. Has a lot to do in terms of playoff seeding, and just a huge game between those two schools in general. So here's what we're looking at. Okay, we mentioned a little bit of this already, but here is what we are looking at as best as we can see it based off of Jim Clark's ratings. And again, I cannot give Jim enough credit. Hopefully we can get him on the show here in the next couple weeks. The stuff that he does, not only with the rankings, but he put he has the record, the results from every single team on this spreadsheet every week. It's just outstanding work in terms of just if you want to know what's going on every Friday night. He's an amazing follow.
Here's some music in the background. I want to marry you or something. Is that supposed to be there? A little...
Marry me. All right, Division I North playoffs. So what we're looking at right now, number 4 Central Catholic. Again, if this is how it stands, there's still technically some points to be had, but everything that we're being told is that Central will host as the number 4 seed against number 5 Lexington. Lexington's on paper very similar teams. Lexington scored 219 points, giving up 71. Central scored 209 points, giving up 71. So on paper, very similar teams. Good matchup there if that ends up coming to pass. And any thoughts on hypothetically on that matchup?
The home game is, I think, the most important thing for Central in this case, grabbing a top 4 seed. For that team to do that, against this league and their non-league schedule was pretty impressive. I mean, knowing how young they were.
And they're hitting it all cylinders right now,
Yeah,
too, which will
absolutely.
definitely be helpful.
And you look at, huge. Shout out to Coach A for just the way he constructed the schedule to give those guys a couple of those those big games up front,
Mm-hmm.
and giving them those tests. Because even though they came out as losses, it definitely, you could see the maturity just straight on through the season.
Yeah, I think both Central and Haverhill gained from, and Haverhill's a team we haven't really talked about too much today, but gained from the St. John's games, putting them on the schedule. I think they both, improved off of those games.
Central's depth has definitely helped as the seasons come along, where other kids can step up. So
I just honestly, I don't even feel like we've seen the best from them yet. I don't even think we've seen the full arsenal from them.
Well, they're
yet.
rolling right now.
Yeah.
yeah,
They're
to the
rolling
last
right
couple
now.
of weeks, I think this is kind of them right now, and I think their defense has shown that that's where the step up comes from, and then offense has to capitalize, and if they don't, it's going to be tough in the playoffs. If both can do their jobs, then they may do some damage.
Number 6, Methuen is looking what it is like right now. Number 6, Methuen would be at Acton Boxborough, the number 3 seed again. We're going off of how points stand right now. If Drake were to pull off the win over Tewksbury today, Acton Boxborough beat Drake, so Acton Boxborough would probably get enough points to move into the 2 spot. There's still some question in terms of how the forfeit situation's going to impact Everett, but everything that we're hearing right now is Everett was going to stay at the number 1 slot. So we're again. Nothing is final until the MIAA says it, but we're going off of the best rankings out there. Acton Boxborough 7-0. They beat Chelmsford 28-0. Beat Drake at 35-7. 241 points scored this season, Bill.
Yeah, no, just strong point. Hector, do you have any closing points for yourself?
No, I just remember I do have an appointment though, and I have to run. So you guys are going to put it in your hands. And,
yeah, we'll take it home.
The Craig Kimbrells of the Facebook Live world should finish the job.
No. Wow. So, and you got a wedding this afternoon?
And a wedding this afternoon.
So you got a fitting? Is that where you got to go right now?
No.
All right, fair enough.
I do have an appointment downtown.
All good.
Do me a favor, race 2.
yeah, seriously.
Unlike most of my Saturdays, this has nothing to do with the New York double. Getting there in time.
Good stuff. Good stuff from Hector as always.
Right. All 22. Lou, great job again this week.
Thanks, Hector.
Don't forget your shirt.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Sure. I'll be wearing it next week. So.
Awesome. All right, Hector.
Guys.
Thank you. So, right now we're looking at number 6 Methuen, at number 3 Acton Boxborough.
No, yeah, I mean that's one of those games that there's some similar opponents, but I think for Acton Boxborough they're ranked higher right now because they've got some history and they've got some solid wins. For Methuen, it's kind of like the Central thing. They've got to be pumping in all cylinders to make that a game and pull off a victory if that ends up being their opponent. So it'll be interesting to see. Methuen had Chelmsford earlier in the year in a scrimmage, so I think there was some similar outcome to that game, but Acton Boxborough's got some depth as far as seniors.
As it stands, again, as we're looking at the scenarios right now, number 7 seed would be Haverhill, and they would take on St. John's Prep, a rematch of an early season matchup. Hilly started the season against St. John Prep. St. John's beat them 43-14, but again, anybody who watched that would say. Game was a lot closer than the score. St. John's beat Central as well, 31-12. So St. John's definitely has some depth, some skill.
Yeah, no, and definitely, and I think for the Hillies, they've definitely improved a lot since the St. John's game. They definitely had a hiccup last night against Central, but as we've been talking about, Central's kind of hitting on all cylinders right now, and their defense is rolling. 59 yards for a team that's as tough as Haverhill. Shows that one team definitely showed up to play a little bit more than the other, so that would be that'll be an interesting matchup.
And as it stands on paper right now, we know that Andover will be the number 8 seed.
Correct.
It's as of right now they're at number 1 Everett, and again whether how Everett gets impacted by the forfeit. we're looking at the points, and it seems like they would stay in the number 1 slot. So we're gonna say number 8 Andover at number 1 Everett. Everett beat St. John's 26-14, beats Lawrence 35-8. So we've seen a little bit of Everett, a little bit more than we're used to seeing, probably actually.
No,
so
absolutely.
we've seen Everett in these parts. Obviously, a great program. Obviously, the whether they're the number 1 seed or not, one of the teams to beat just on reputation alone.
No, and Coach Perry talked about that. They've seen each other before, and he's a coach that's been around for a long time, and I think he'll have his kids as prepared as they can be. And once again, he's got a freshman quarterback, and as great as he sounded, experience and over a period of years is key.
Division II North playoffs. It's number 1 North Andover. This is pretty much locked in. It's number 1 North Andover. They will host number 8 Waltham.
I won't tell Hector.
Dorchester. Waltham is one of those teams that kind of got in at the number 8 seed. They're 2-4. They've been outscored pretty handily, 114-26. But again, you get into this playoff situation.
You have a bad weather day, cold game, rainy game, anything can happen. I don't see North Andover being tested early, but that could also go against them. If they start to get lulled, we had one of their players on last week. I think it was Gavin talking about each week is a new week, and they're really doing that well. But Tim, after a while, the wins pile up, and you start getting a little cocky, and you forget to do the little things, and
start reading your own press a little bit.
You never know, something could happen. But I don't expect them to get bumped for the first few weeks.
Coach Obzinski's got them pretty in line and pretty ready for this run, and they will host as long as they will host early on as long as they keep winning.
I like this next matchup right here.
Oh yeah, Division III North playoffs. So again, as of right now, we have number 7 Billerica at number 2 Tewksbury, an MVC matchup. Now points wise, it looks like this is where it will lock in if Tewksbury is able to beat Drake it today. Lynn English is in the number 1 slot. Again, the way that Jim Clark has the points, it looks like Lynn English would hold that number 1 spot no matter what. But again, nothing's in stone until the MIAA announces the matchups tomorrow. But hypothetically, number 7 Billerica at Tewksbury, that has the makings of a fun game. Tewksbury took care of business on October 6th pretty handily, but Billerica's got the talent.
And they have the coaching, and they've got a quarterback who week in and week out has stood in the pocket, thrown the ball, knows how to play the game. Tough kid, tough competitor, and it is very, very hard to beat a team 2 times in a season. At the end of the day, that's where
we saw it last week with Methuen and Lowell. I mean, that was
last year. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Last year, last week.
Absolutely, and I think for me, that's a game that if I'm Tewksbury, as excited I am to be number 2 and all that. I'm shaking my head going, do I really want to go against that dog in Billerica, who is well coached, some talent there, even though they're young, even though next year they're going to be right in the thick of it again. I'm scratching my head
Look
saying...
what they did against us Catholic Memorial, almost pulled off the win there.
No, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. So any given week, and the coach puts them in the right position, and I think, last night, against North Andover, it just... a little bit of a different story, but I have a feeling that the first round of the playoffs, everybody's going to be up for that game, fans included.
And then Division IV North playoffs. Right now, it looks like on paper it would be Drake it in the number 5 slot, heading to Burlington, who would be number 4. Again, that could change today. Very easily, Drake it could move up to the number 4 slot on the point scale. They would definitely get a bunch of points beating Tewksbury. The mathematicians might even say they have an outside shot at a 3, but we're going on what we see on paper right now on how the matchups have played out. We've got Drake it heading to Burlington. Either way,
Drake's good.
Drake's good.
They're good. I think
They had a little lull there.
I think, and their opponents were no joke. I
Yeah.
think this is the game this week against Tewksbury that kind of separates who they are and how competitive they are against, top opponents, and we'll see. But I have a feeling they're going to do some damage in their division playoffs as well.
And then you got 3 teams right now: Lawrence, Lowell, Chelmsford, not in the playoffs. They'll get some matchups that will be announced. And by the way, we will put once the matchups are official, we'll put all the matchups on the MVC Gridiron Weekly Twitter page, including the non-playoff matchups. And we've even talked a little bit. We'll see how we can make this work. I've talked a little bit with a couple of the coaches about possibly doing some Facebook Live interviews during the week on the MVC Facebook page. So we'll see how that works out. But any which way you slice it, it's the MVC's represented.
Yep.
And it's going to be a fun couple weeks here. Going to be a fun race to Gillette.
That's why we're doing this right here. You know what I mean? It's a great league, very competitive. Every time they step out, they battle, and it's a fun group. And as we're finding out, Tim, the coaches are passionate about it. They're invested, and I like this new trend that we have a coach and a player. I think that to me is the unsung hero of the
I love it. Yeah.
show season. I think it shows coaches are really trying to promote their players, and there's a lot of unity and collaboration, and I want to see that continue.
And we talk about when we should have the show. Having it on Saturday mornings actually works out. A lot of the times the teams are together, looking at film, looking ahead. So you've got the coaches and the players right there in the room. No. So that's worked out a couple times for us. We'll keep working those angles.
And don't be afraid if you have a video that, if you're a proud parent, an AD, a coach, and you have a specific play that you want to spotlight a kid, you can tag our Twitter account and get it out there. And
please,
do that. Our whole goal here is to promote coaches and players that are really putting in a lot of time and effort. And now that it's going to get cold, wet, and rainy, covering a lot of adversity as well.
I see a lot of huddle highlights being put out there by players, by coaches. Absolutely, tag us. Just include us in there. We want to show you the love on our Twitter feed as well. And listen. This is year 1 of the show. We wanted to get this off the ground. We wanted to get this working the right way. This is going to be an evolving format, an evolving program, and we're thrilled to be doing this. We're thrilled with how things have worked out so far. We're thrilled with the reaction from all the teams, from the coaches, the ADs, the families, just the Twitter reaction, the views each week on the shows. You name it, folks. We can't thank you enough, honestly. We had a feeling that we were tapping into something that was needed some more coverage and some more love, and you guys have given it throughout the season. So we can't thank you enough. This is the end of one chapter in the 2018 season as we move on to the playoffs next week. But listen, keep
tuning in.
Keep tuning in. Keep sending questions. Keep with the comments and tagging us on Twitter, and we will listen. We'll keep giving you the interviews and all of the action here in the MVC.
And check back on our page, both on Facebook and Twitter, for the upcoming schedule for next week, which is going to be quite interesting, Tim.
Oh yeah, can't wait. I can wait for that drizzle and that rain and that you mentioned, but we're already there. All right, I think that's it for this week. Lou, cues the music.
That sounded like my cue.
The classy Lou Blassie.
Oh, he's the
all
man.
22, behind the glass. We agree with Lou.
We agree with Lou.
And huge thank you to Lou. Huge thank you to E.J. Perry, the coach at Andover, to Michael Lefebvre at Central Catholic.
And Matt Martino from Methuen High School.
And a huge thank you to Hector Longo for leaving early.
Made the rest of your day?
Made the rest of my show the best 8 minutes of the show.
Hey, tune in Wednesday night for Ranger Nation Radio. We'll
It is.
talk about Tim's third and fourth grade draft.
Shout out to the Chupacabras playing in Peabody today. Go,
I like
go,
it.
Methuen soccer. Hey, listen, if it's MVC football, you know where to find it. It's MVC Gridiron Weekly. Catch us on demand throughout the week, and we will see you next week, 10 a.m. For Bill Bryant, for Hector Longo, Lou Blassie, Tim Wood, talk to you next week.